now? Will you still be sending me a Valentine's birthday greetings, bottle of wine? If I'd been out till 2:45, would you lock the door? Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? You'll be older too, and if you say the word, I could stay with you. I could be handy mending a fuse when your lights have gone. You can knit a sweater by the fireside. Sunday mornings go for a ride, doing a garden, digging the weeds. Who could ask for more? Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? Every summer we can rent a cottage in the Isle of Wight, if it's not too dear. We shall scrimp and save, grandchildren on your knee, Vera, Chuck and Dave. Send me a postcard, drop me a line, stating point of view. Indicate precisely what you mean to say. You're sincerely wasting away. Give me your answer, fill in a form, mine forevermore. Or will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? Woo.
The moment I saw you and you looked my way, that moment of moments, my heart seemed to say, could this be my long lost dream come true? The moment we touched, could we be wrong when we both are so set on it? Could we be wrong? Love is so strong, I'd be willing to bet on it. How could we be wrong? the fall. If we make a duet of it, how could we
One thing about your husband, dear, he never got too many surprises in his life, but anyway, here goes. that thing in my mouth.
Excuse me, sir.
Where do you want it? Say what you want.
Say whatever I like. Thank you very much, all of the family. This was a big surprise.
I hope if I could figure out now before I open it.
Just open it.
I open what it is.
Come on.
I bet you it ain't there, but anyway. The extremist of the family. All nervous about it, reckon. Mother of Christ, who was the guy that put this together? Getting closer, mother. Getting closer. And Jesus, there must be a crock of gold in here. Mother of Christ, what is it? It is right what I said, not limit. Hey? I know. There's something there, but you got to go off the deep. Oh? I finally found it.
Turns upside down. Oh.
Look at this bed.
Oh, good. Can you look at that? Oh, that's nice.
That's nice.
There you are, darling. There's your present for me. Now I
That was quickly transferred.
Thank you very much. This is going to ring continuously, Nora. But Dad hands the telephone. And I'm upstairs.
This should be the best part. I didn't bring my glasses, but anyway. I hope the writing is big.
Too sure Santa Cruz.
2 doves. So mother and in front of that. You're my guiding light all my life. How afterthoughts and hearts return in the home that's filled with love. I tell you, talk about love, girl, we had plenty of it. Oh, mother of Jesus. Oh, no. Now this is where you come in.
Give me the card.
And hold the door.
Just sing out the rest.
No, not only on your special day, but often through the year. Thoughts turn to all the special things that made you both so dear. The closeness that we've always had, traditions that we've kept, the simple pleasures, simple joys and pleasures, family times we won't forget. And for each cherished memory comes a wish that's filled with love for all the special happiness you're so deserving of. That's very nice. Love always, Margie Kelly, Dennis Bernal. Thank you. Very nice. Oh,
The 50s will be before you know it. Eileen wrote that.
we'll settle this. We'll make this the 50th.
Well, folks, a couple of more.
Oh.
Couple of more ones. I'm really. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, wait a minute. We're talking now for the next 25th. Kevin and Margie coming, and Nora and Patrick, Grace and John, and Dennis and Bert. We'll be looking forward to the 25th.
Well, Mother, I'm glad you didn't have too many whiskeys, you know. Like you would have given it hell altogether, you know. Anyway, folks, I really enjoyed it. It was a nice, how would I put it? It was, well, yes, a surprise, but it should have been left as a surprise. It probably would have been a lot better, you know. But anyway.
We need you to say that.
But anyway, thanks a million. I appreciate it. And what else can I say?
Here's your $390 trip to Ireland. There you go.
There's nobody in this world taking that from me. Nobody.
I'm not used to speaking in public, so I'll just extend A warm congratulations to you both. Gomeri meet Bio Aranam Shaharish. May we be alive again next year at the same time. And when you come to Florida, we'll see if we can have some sort of a celebration for you down there. First of all, we want you to paint the house first, you know. But we'll do something special. And we'll make it public as well.
I don't know what to say. It's like the last time this happened. Yes. Since I was 9, I loved you both, and it was really a lovely time. And I enjoyed the 40 years as well as 33 of the 40 years was great, and I was there for 33 of them. Okay, who's next? Who's next?
Well, I don't think anybody want to trade you in as parents. Two best parents that we've ever known, I think we'll ever know. And all the years of sacrifice, I don't think we'll ever know what you gave up for us. I don't think any of us will have that sacrifice. And just to know that you're our parents is enough.
All right, wait a minute.
Okay. Does that mean it's going on? Well, if it is, I'll pan.
Oh, good. In my lifetime, I always did one thing with my wife. I always handed her check or any money that was available around the whole household or my job or anything to do with it. So I now, in my 40th anniversary, hand it over to her once more.
Make sure you count it, man.
Always say that.
Now, double check. That's true.
No, he's not old enough.
Right. Okay, let's talk. We're not going.
Okay. Well, it's great to see everybody here, and it's great to see after 40 years that Mom and Dad are looking so good and in great health. And I want to thank you for what you've given me and what you've given all of us. And we hope to see you around for many more years.
Quiet. I don't need a camera.
To Dad and Mom, the best. Thank you for all your emotional support. To us, to all of us, to the world. No. And when I grow up, I hope I'll be just like you and Mom. Chris, you're next. Come on, Gemini, get up here. Chris, we'll get the napkin. I'll help you. This is the military talking. Let's go.
Get his denial on.
Just hand him the microphone there. I can get it. Just hand the microphone. Big guy like you. Come on. Should I sing Whitney Houston? I get so emotional, baby. Want to make an entrance. thank Dad for all that. Do you need me now, Chris? Can I leave?
Yeah, no, well, guilty. Am I set now?
You're ready.
This is to my mother and father, who I think are the greatest. Especially my mother. Who does everything for me.
She does everything
Because
for you.
if she wasn't around, I don't know what I would do.
You better get away.
Sure.
Hey, John.
There we are. Which, this one though? Stay there, Pat. Yeah, okay. Shy. I'm shy. But I am shy. I hide it better. Better? Better? Okay. Jesus. What? Mom and Dad, thank you very much for everything you've given me and all of us. And I just hope you... I'm not shy, right? And this is like the speech. Again, just thank you for everything.
Thanks for the memories. Da-da-da-da. Mom and Dad? You done, George? Okay. Thank you so much for what you've done for us children. Okay. Thank you so much for doing what we did for us kids. Really, us Pogue Mahones paying English. Okay. Really, the best. Happy 40th, and hope there's like maybe God forbid, and you know, the whole 9 yards. And I'll be right behind you, Ma. So look, really. Baby. Oh, baby. Yeah, right. Look at this. Well, should we all stand around you? What are we doing? We got up. Yes, right. Go behind.
There you go.
Well, we've had our share of brawls in the past. I'm sure everybody has in this family. And being the last one to move out of the house, I realize it more than ever that we love you to pieces. And that's it.
Thank you. Very nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now we start the in-laws.
The in-laws.
I like Kevin out.
That's true. I'm the eldest in-law. What are we up to, Marge? 17 years with these two? Well, I have to thank my father-in-law for 17 years of doing all the work for me and helping me at the house. And I have to thank my mother-in-law for all the babysitting and all the cleaning up for my father-in-law at my house. But it's been a privilege for 17 years of my life to know two such great people, to see all they've done in their lifetime and accomplished with 8 kids. So I hope to be here standing next to you both at your 50th anniversary. Or maybe we'll be in Ireland. Maybe we'll do it in Ireland. So lots of luck on the next 10, okay? Okay.
Next in-law.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, this could be a long one. It's going to be a long
Well, I say for the next trip to Ireland, we're all gonna go. About 16 cars full. How about that? I'd like to say happy anniversary, congratulations. And I feel like I'm a part of this family, not a daughter-in-law, but a daughter, and I thank you for that. And it was a lovely afternoon. Many more happy years together, and I hope me and Pat can follow your example and be as happy as you two have been. Fruitful, I don't know about that. 8 of them? I don't know. But, you know, we'll do what we can. Okay, happy anniversary.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
Okay, you get your turn next. Any other in-laws around here?
Gary, you know.
Grace is the next one.
Grace, Burn, Gary.
Well, I'd like to say it's only been a couple of years, but it's a pleasure to be part of your family. You raised an absolutely beautiful son, and I'm glad I got to marry him. Happy anniversary.
Thank you very much. Bernie.
I'd just like to say thank you for all these great weekends we've had upstate and the great breakfasts that Mom made us and the great example that Dad gave us washing the dishes, and hopefully Dennis will learn from his example.
Where's Gary? Gary can say hello. Hey, Gary. Come on, Gary. Come on. The last one.
Come on, Gary.
You're here. You might as well do it. Come on, Gary. Come on. You're in.
Gary, you're in the family, Gary. You gotta push in. Come on, you're in the family. Yes, you are. Get in.
All right, Gary, we're going to get the cuffs next.
Come on, Gary.
Practice. I just like to wish you guys happy anniversary, and it's a real pleasure being part of this family, or going to be a part of this family. Would be you guys just like my mother and father. You treat me very nice, even though we had our argument. Like the first time we met. Just, say happy anniversary and thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like to talk, that's right.
I like to talk. I'll be the first to admit it. Mark, anything you want. I don't care. Anything you want. All your grandfathers, anything you want.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's been... Shut up. That's long. Yeah, let me think. Yeah, right. Well, thank you for all the good times. Yeah, there's been a lot of good times. There has been a lot of good times. And you drive the best. You're the best driver. You're the best. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. And oh. Happy anniversary.
I hope you don't feel wet.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'd just like to thank them for whenever they babysit us, they wouldn't tell Mom what we did or anything like that. And if there was ever a plaque to be given out for the greatest grandparents, it'd be for Grandpa and Grandma. Good man.
Okay.
Colin.
Hi,
Colin Paul. All right,
Hi, Timmy.
Hi, Timmy. That's a good boy, Timmy.
I saw him at the school.
He's good. He's good.
Thank you for everything that you've given me. And happy anniversary.
Thank you, Timmy.
He's
You're a good boy.
a good boy. That's it. Where's your brother? Oh, he don't. Is he into it? Say hello to
over here.
Say congratulations to Grandma and Grandpa.
Congratulations to Grandma and Grandpa.
That's a good boy. What else you got to say? You like the dog, right? Say it. Say it. Say I like the dog.
I like the dog.
Happy anniversary.
There you go.
Happy anniversary.
Oh, he's a good boy.
Big kiss. Big kiss. There you go, Robert. Robert Redford. There you go, the good-looking man.
Say hi, Grandpa. Hey, look at Mommy. Hey, look at Mommy. Look at Mommy. See Mommy? Hi, Grandma.
after here at Marge's with reggae band. Okay?
Got your limits though, right?
Part 2. The following is a short autobiography of Bridget Hickey Fitzgerald, born April 14, 1921, in County Cork. This is her story. Here is a photograph of Daniel O'Keefe, father of Ellen Hickey. He looks thrilled, for that day he had to get all dressed up to go to the photographers in Killarney. It was serious business. Now, this is Kate Ryan O'Keefe. Who was his wife and the mother of Ellen Hickey.
This is a picture of Ellen O'Keefe Hickey, mother of Bridget Hickey Fitzgerald. This is Dennis Hickey Sr., husband of Ellen Hickey. This next photograph is of the Hickey family, taken in 1924. On the back left is Han, Father Dennis, Luke, Elizabeth, Jack, Ellen O'Keefe Hickey, who's holding Teresa the baby. Next to her is Bridget and Sheila. This next photograph was taken in 1934 in Knocknagoline, County Cork, Ireland. In the back row is Jack and Luke. In the front row is Bridget's father, Dennis Hickey, and her sister, Teresa. Michael Looney's cousin, Annie Looney, Bridget Hickey herself, and her mother, Ellen Hickey. Seated on her lap was her first grandchild in Ireland, Mary Looney, Peg's daughter, who is now Mary Cotter. Here we have Luke Hickey, Dennis O'Keefe, Ellen O'Keefe Hickey, Patrick Fitzgerald, who was Bridget's husband, and Francis Doherty, who was Nora's husband. This picture was taken in 1949 of Ellen O'Keefe Hickey with her grandson, Francis Doherty, who was the son of her sister Nora Hickey and Frank Doherty. This photograph was taken August 1973 at Michael Looney's wedding. On the far left we have Thomas McAteer, Kathleen Looney McAteer, Peg Looney, Nora Doherty, Nell Wickham, Bridget Fitzgerald, and Frank Doherty. The back row we have Patrick Fitzgerald, Teresa Doherty, and Michael Doherty. Here we have Peg Looney, Nora Doherty, Nell Wickham, Bridget Fitzgerald, and Teresa Doherty, otherwise known as the Wild Hickey Sisters. Once again, we have Bridget Hickey Fitzgerald. This is her story. And we're speaking with Bridget Fitzgerald, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself and her family. And here's Bridget. Bridget.
I know.
Could you tell us your full name?
Bridget Hickey Fitzgerald, I guess.
Did you have a second name?
No.
No Christian name?
No.
And what were your parents' names?
And my mother's name was Ellen. Originally she was Ellen O'Keefe, and my father was Dennis Hickey.
Okay, and where were you born?
I was born in Townland, I guess I should tell you, right? Born at home, Knocknagolan. That was the name of the townland. And that was like, it's County Cork. And
is that around
then,
Mill Street?
Yeah, 5 miles from Mill Street.
Oh, so you weren't
Yes.
originally born in Mill Street?
Not in Mill Street, no. It's, you know, it's within the boundaries of County Cork, but Mill Street was the main town where we were, you know, where the births were registered and that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did your parents own a home in Mill Street or in
They had
Townland?
they had a cottage.
In Townland?
Yeah, on the Townland.
Were you
I believe that was rented like early years, and then they were able to buy it out like in later years. Yeah.
Is that where you went back to visit? Is that Uncle Jack's?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yes.
Uncle Jack's house.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. And Mill Street was the town?
Yes.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had 9 sisters and 5 brothers, and out of the 5 brothers, 2 died, babies, you know, early in the time. And then I had a sister who died when she was 15. She was I was about 7 when she died. And
Can you give me their names and?
yeah. And
In the order
my
that
brother,
they were?
yeah, my brother, he was the oldest, he was Dennis, and then there was Mary, and I think there was a baby, Daniel, and next to him came Kathy, and after Kathy there was another baby boy, David, and I believe he only lived a week. He was, you know, and he was born at home too. And then after, oh no, Nora came after that, that's right. I mixed that name up. It was Nora, and then after Nora came this little boy, and then Kathy, and Peg, Margaret, of course she was Margaret, but we always called her Peg, and Nell. And then there was Hen, who was Joanna, really, and what came after that? Oh, Elizabeth, and then there was Jack, Luke, Sheila, Bridget, me, and Teresa was the baby. Yeah.
You were next to last.
I was next to last, yeah.
Do you remember everybody living in the house?
No. I believe my mother said, you know, as they grew up, you know, they went away to work. So they weren't home, the older ones. There were like 5 of us living in the house when I was growing up. Jack and Luke and Sheila and Teresa and I. But the older ones, I believe my mother said at one time there was only one time in her life that all of us got in the house together one day, and that was the day before my brother Dennis came out of this country. Everybody got together in the house for the one day. That was the only time, she said. Yeah. That was kind of interesting, you know, to happen. Yeah.
What was your mother's name, full name?
Ellen O'Keefe. She had no second name. No.
And do you remember, did you have aunts and uncles that you remember? Did
Oh,
you have
yes.
brothers and sisters?
Yes, I remember my grandfather from my mother's side. He was Daniel O'Keefe, and he was like about 97 when he passed away. I think I was probably maybe 8 years old. He lived with my aunt, Mary. And Aunt Mary, who lived about 2 miles away from us. And her husband had died very young. She had 6 children. And then my grandfather lived with her. And then I had the other uncle, Uncle Din. And then he lived with Aunt Mary too for a certain time. Then later, like, he came to live in our house, my mother. But my other uncles, I didn't know because they were, one was in England and one was in Canada. And I think one of them had passed away before I was born. And I had an Aunt Katie, who lived in Limerick.
Oh,
that's nice.
I'm glad to grandparents.
And her we saw often. She came always visiting us. I came for maybe a month in the summertime, and she brought some 4 children. You know, she was married to Ahern, was the name for her husband. He was Stephen Ahern, I believe.
What?
Stephen Ahern was her husband's name. So.
Do you know how many brothers does she have?
She had children. She had, let me see, 2 boys, I think, and 5 girls.
Were they also from that area?
No, they were from Limerick, really, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
See, she lived down there. My aunt did, that aunt, Katie. And she would come, like, in the summertime to visit my Aunt Mary and my mother, my Uncle Din. But see, from my father's side, we had no relatives. I mean, no close relatives. He only had 2 sisters, and they came out here to the United States, and, you know, I guess before 1900, I think. Or maybe, I guess maybe after 1900. But his sister died when she was 56. The older one, the 2, and I think the other one died not too many years after. But she had been married. The other sister had been married in Ireland, and her husband died. She had no children. So she came out to this country, and she never remarried. But I think she died earlier, earlier on than others. That's all, yeah, 3.
What was his full name?
Yeah, my father, just Dennis. He never, Hickey. Yeah, no, they didn't have second names in them days, I think, much, you know.
Yeah, I get that idea.
Yes, they didn't, yeah.
Well, I guess you had all first names were saints' names, so you didn't
Yes,
have that, but
yeah, I think that's what it was, yeah.
Do you remember his parents at all?
No, no.
Were they
His
from
father,
that area?
no, they weren't from that area, his parents. My father's father died when he was 9 years old. Yeah, and then my older sisters, I think. Oh no, they didn't. She had died, I think, before before my older sister was born, or my brother.
Oh,
Yes, she had died. Yeah, I think. Or they were babies, I guess, at the time. You know, they wouldn't even remember. But they knew my mother's parents. See, they lived only maybe half a mile away from us. Pat Tewig's house. That was their house, yeah. And Mary and then I think Kathy and probably Nora. They knew the grandparents. But I knew the grandfather, like, to see. You know, I knew when like I was about 8 when he passed away. But I didn't know the grandmother. I think she died when she was in her 60s.
This is your
65.
mother's?
Mother, yes.
So originally they weren't from Mill Street. Did they
Yeah.
come there for work? Or something?
I think my father's people, they came from, like, outside of Mill Street towards Mallow way, you know, and not Mallow, Newmarket. That's where his mother was born, and that's where, and I think that possibly my grandfather worked somewhere in that vicinity, and that's how they met, you know, my grandmother and grandfather. Yeah.
And And for your mother's parents also, they settled in there?
Yes, they were. They had been. I think they always lived there. My mother's. They were from the area.
Did your mother work when you were young?
No, worked no.
Well, she had 15
She said yes. Yes.
She worked in
Yeah.
Did you live on a farm?
We had an acre. See, going without. With that was a cottage like. And there was an acre of ground going. So we grew. They grew their own vegetable and like that. Yeah.
Okay, so you lived on an acre in a cottage.
Yes.
And you said those cottages?
They were for the farm workers. My father was a farm worker. And it was built like on the land of the farmer next to us. And then after so many years, they paid rent, like for so many years. And then later, then they got a chance to, much later, I was grown up and everything, and this happened. And they were able to buy him out.
Yeah, you said, do you remember some of your brothers and sisters being born at home?
No.
No?
See, I was there.
You don't remember that?
No. No,
you
because
weren't there?
Teresa, no, well, you see, Teresa was the youngest. She was the youngest. She was born at home. Yeah, but see, there was only 2 years, so I wouldn't remember anything about that, yeah. The only one I remember born at home was my niece. She was born in our house. My sister's, Peg's daughter, our oldest daughter, she came to our house and stayed there, and she was born then. She was a midwife. Came to deliver the baby. Yeah. But of course, that happened to be on a Sunday. So we were going to church, and we were packed off the church. By the time we got back from church, they had the baby.
It was good timing.
Yeah.
Do you remember when your mother was born? What year she was born?
I don't know. In my mother's... No, I don't. I know what year my father was born, but because he was born the year the school was built, 1869. That's the original school.
Do you know what age he died?
He was 67. Yeah.
And how long did your mother live?
My mother was 90
She was 90
when she died, yeah.
Now, you mentioned about the school. Can you tell me something about when you were growing up? What some of your
Well,
memories?
you see, that school, my mother and father went to, same school. And all my brothers and sisters went to that school. And it's still operating. Yeah.
What was the name of your parish?
Our parish, we were under the Mill Street Parish, but the church we went to was Ballydaly. That's like a branch church of the main parish. But
Your parents were married?
they must have been married in Mill Street because there wasn't a church in that particular time, there at that time. I think Mill Street was the main church. And that probably is possible they were married in that church.
What about your mother? Was she very friendly with the neighbors?
Oh, yes, yes. All the neighbors were like family. As a matter of fact, when I was growing up, I thought they were my uncles and aunts. Yeah. They were really great people.
She helped them out in any way?
Oh, yes, yeah. And when somebody died, they called on her to prepare the body for the funeral. She did it for, I couldn't tell you how many people. Yeah. But they were wonderful people. The people lived around us were really, really great. We all helped each other. It was, I remember, like, if a neighbor died, whatever they were doing, if it was farm work or whatever, everything stopped. And then they went to that house and said, we'll milk the cows, or we'll take care of whatever you have to do so that you won't have to do it, which was great.
Wasn't she frightened by taking care of the deceased?
No, one time I said to her, Mom, how can you do it? And she said, I said, aren't you afraid? Why would I be afraid? She said, they were my friends.
She sounded like a great lady.
Yeah.
Do you have any childhood memories that you...
Well, of course, we walked to school 2 miles every day.
Without shoes.
Sometime in the summertime without shoes.
Really?
Yeah, we did. But it used to be kind of a race between who was going to take their shoes off first, you know. That was a great thing then. Yeah. But we had a lot of fun on the way to school. We picked berries, you know, when the blackberry season came in. We picked berries on the way home from school, and we picked, there was hazelnuts on the way, and we picked the hazelnuts and probably got home late, you know. And but it was a lot of fun. And like all the kids kind of stuck together, you know. And of course we knew them, they were all neighbours' kids. They were all, you know, from the same area. Yeah.
Well, with that large a family, about how many years were there in between each brother and sister?
I think about 2 years, mostly. Yeah.
And you said you did some farming. You kind of grew your own vegetables.
Oh
and
yes,
things like that?
yeah.
Did you have any animals?
We had a donkey. Yeah. We had chickens and hens and ducks. You know, and yeah, it had quite a, you know, they had a lot of eggs, like from the, you know, the hens and that.
How did you get to town?
The donkey, and had a car with the donkey for to go to town. And my mother went on Friday. That was shopping day. Was Friday, and she went and had all her lists ready before she went, and she would take in the eggs that she had from the, you know, the hens, and maybe sometimes maybe 10 dozen, you know, which was a lot at that time. And she'd do the shopping. Then when it came time for in the winter time, then you see we had to get the heavier shoes for school, for walking to school. So that was a big thing, you know. We all had to, and what they would do is that the store would give her a whole bunch of sizes, different sizes, to bring home. And we tried. Yeah, wasn't that great?
Really?
Yes. Yeah. See, they trusted people in them, yes, you know. And she'd come home in all the different sizes, and we'd try them all on, and my father'd be looking to see where your toes were and were they in the right place. Make sure they were the right size and everything. Yeah.
Well, now that Easter has passed, do you remember how you celebrated Easter? Did you get new clothes
Oh.
for Easter?
Oh, well, Easter was wasn't new clothes really, you know. Might be you wore your best, whatever your best dress was, would be worn on Easter Sunday, you know. But thing there was in our time there was no such thing as like the chocolate eggs or anything at the time, you know. There were a few coming in at that time, but not much. But the big thing was like who could eat so many eggs? That was, you know.
Oh, yeah. What
Yeah,
kind of, what,
regular eggs, you know, hard-boiled or whatever.
what, did they get a prize or something?
No, it was kind of who could do it more, you know, without getting a stomachache. Yeah.
And how about...
But it was the religious part of it was the big thing there. The religious part of Easter was the, you know,
Celebration.
yeah, celebration, because in Lent everybody gave up something for Lent. And, you know, giving up was, I remember I gave up having sugar in my tea. And I never went back to it, you know. And my father gave up smoking one time. You know, he smoked a pipe, and he couldn't even see the road. It had such an effect on him. And he was going around for, you know, about 3 weeks or 4 weeks. 3 weeks, I guess. 2 or 3 weeks it must have been. And my mother goes into town, and she bought it. He threw away the pipe and all, so that he wouldn't smoke. And she bought him a new pipe and whatever it was, the tobacco. And she said, look, it's more punishment to look at you not smoking than this to have you smoking. Yeah.
Well, you must remember something about Shrove Tuesday.
Oh yes, that was great. Yeah. So Tuesday the town made these bracts, you know, with the raisins, and then they'd put a little stick wrapped in a piece of plastic paper in it, and a stick, a pea, what was it, a ring, and I don't know what else. There was something else, and then whoever, yeah, that was for the money, yeah. And then whoever got the penny was going to be wealthy for the year. Whoever got the ring was going to be married within the year. and the one who got the stick was going to be the boss of the house. And the P was the poor guy. There's some great things.
Well, you must.
But then, oh yeah, that was the last day then for getting married before Easter, before Lent. And usually on January 6th, anybody that was getting married, you know, going to get married before Lent, they had a fair in the town. And you always knew the ones that were good. They'd walk up and down the town, arm in arm. The people were going to be getting married before Lent. Yeah. And of course, a lot of them were matchmaking marriages. Yeah.
How did that work?
That worked that one farmer probably had a daughter, and he figured it was time for it, or else maybe his son was getting married, and then somebody else would, like, usually it would be like where the daughter would be living, would be coming, maybe her, you know, her brother might be getting married, and his wife was coming into the house to live there. So then somebody else would be looking for a wife to take in, you know. So that girl would, they'd get together, the two farms, and talk it over, and they did all the talking about it. The two young people didn't. They just probably saw each other for a short time before that. And of course, with the farm, it was a dowry. See, that was the big thing. The girl going in would have to have so much money to go in, so that the other guy's sister could go to another farm with the same dowry. So my brother used to always say, there was £500, he says, going around there for 50 years. same 500, he said. He said, you don't know how many people that £500 married, he said.
And it was usually when the girl married, she moved into the house of the husband?
Yeah, the husband, yeah.
Did she live in there with the mother-in-law?
Yes, yeah. And sometimes it didn't work. Yeah.
He would eventually inherit.
Oh yes, the
That
farm.
was
That had be the oldest son. Yeah. But of course that's passed away. There's no longer doing that. You know.
We'll do that with the marriage first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't there a neighbor in your area that had problems?
Oh yes. You know, this family, the older daughter became an unwed mother, and she was really not accepted at all by the family. And they took the baby to the aunt's house, or took the girl to the aunt's house, I guess, who lived quite a distance away in Killarney, close to Killarney. And any case, she was never really allowed out for people to see, never allowed out of the house after that.
She
And
still
then
lived in her parents' house?
she still lived, not all the time now. She lived with the aunt in Killarney, I guess, while the little boy was growing up. And when he was about, everybody thought the baby had died. See, that's what they told, I guess, some people. But actually, they brought him up as the aunt's son. They gave him that name. So when they brought him back to their house, to the grandfather's house, he was, you know, supposed to be a cousin. He was supposed to be the aunt's son. And he grew up with my brothers. Luke and him were about the same age. And Luke didn't know any different. Neither did I, you know. But then we always knew that when we went in that house, somebody would disappear into the bedroom, through the door into the bedroom. And then eventually we got asking my mother, you know, why was that happening? And she didn't want to tell us, you know. So eventually we found out, you know, as we got older, that he was her son, really, you know. And I don't think he knew it himself until he was quite grown up. But they never allowed her out of the house, had never allowed anybody to talk to her all them years. And eventually then the father died. But he, you know, he was 97 when he died. Mother had died. When the mother died, she had to come out, had come from the aunt's house and was there for the funeral and the wake. And I had a faint remembrance of meeting her then. and you know, I was like 5 or 6 years old. But I always remember later, like as I got to the 8 and 9 or 10, I'd go into the house and all of a sudden I'd see somebody disappearing through the door. And then after a while my mother wouldn't say, you know, I'd ask her and I'd say, I knew then her name, and I said, why don't they leave Kate out? Why is she running away? And she says, oh, I won't tell you now, you'll know it later, you know. And she never really explained it to us. But in any case, as they got older then, of course, and the father had died, and then one of the sisters died, then they all dwindled down, and she was the only one left. And they left, she came out before the other sister died, she lived there with the second younger one, I think. But then she went, and my brother was taken to the hospital one day in the car. He was driving it then. He had a car then. And he was driving, and she told him to go slow because she wanted to see the houses. She hadn't seen them before. And that's how. And the other sister lived for a couple of years, and she went out then, went to the town, you know, and like sent for my brother. My brother was married and away from home then, and he came home, and one day she asked somebody to tell him to come and visit her, and he went in, and he was so surprised, like, and she said, you know, said when you used to come in when you were a teenager in here, and she said you'd start telling some stories and they'd be all laughing, and I'd be on the other side of the door, and I'd dying to laugh, but I was afraid in case that you'd hear me. Wasn't it something? So he said to us, it was so sad, like when he talked to her, he said, my goodness, you know, why would they keep somebody away like that all that time? But of course, yeah, and I think, you see, it was like they were ashamed of the fact that she had that baby. This was at that time. And I don't know, it just, you know, they didn't think of the human side of it, of her suffering at all. But anyway, she had a couple of years. She outlived everybody. The other sister died too. And then eventually my brother took her to the hospital. She died in the hospital, but she was the last one in the family to go. And she was 90 years old. But she, you know, but at least I said she had the comfort of coming out and talking to some of the people that she were there, already there, that she knew. What about Christmas time? What was Christmas like? Christmas time, my memories of Christmas was that on Christmas Eve, my father would go to this farm where they had the holly with the red berries in it. And it was a big thing. He went early in the day, and he got this rope, and he came back with a big bunch of the holly. And then he set a string around the window and put the holly in all the way around. My mother made the paper flowers, different colours, put it all around it. And then she had a paper chain that you could buy at that time, different colours, and she'd, you know, loop it across the window in like a V, and a big bell, paper bell in the middle, hang down. And then this huge candle, a red one, usually. And the youngest person in the house would light that. When I never got to light it because Teresa was younger than me, so she was the one that always got to light it. And they'd light the candle, and as soon as it just started to get dark, and then everybody'd kneel and say prayers. And then there was a candle placed in every window in the house. And I believe the idea that was that years ago when Ireland had, you know, being like when England was controlling Ireland, that they'd say Mass in one house on Christmas. The priests were, you know, had to run for their lives then, that time. They weren't allowed to say Mass, and they used to say it anywhere. And the idea of the candle was that the priest would be coming to one house, and they used to put the candle in the window, but then so that the soldiers wouldn't know which house. Everybody put a candle in the window. See? So they couldn't tell which house the priest was in. Yeah. Wasn't it? Yeah. So that followed, and Our door was never locked, especially on Christmas Eve. My mother said, now if the Holy Family are coming by, that the door is open for them to come in. Yeah. And the candle, they took the candle off the window and they placed it on the floor and took all these, they still had little trimmings on the candle too, you know, decorations, paper, things around it. Took all that, and the candle would be sitting in this big jar with sand in it that wouldn't catch fire. And then they'd sit on the floor in the kitchen, lighting all night. Yeah. And of course Christmas morning was getting up early and going to church. And by the time we got, it would be, you know, quite dark then. And we'd be in the church about, maybe Mass wouldn't start until about 9:30, but my father always had us in church by 8:30, an hour ahead. And then we'd come back, eat breakfast. The big thing then was the Christmas dinner, which was usually a goose. And we'd eat late in the day.
That they bought in the store?
No, goose the neighbour gave us. we had 3 neighbours that sent us a goose. One each. They sent us one family sent it for Christmas, one sent it for New Year, and the other one sent it for January 6th.
Was it live when you had it?
Yeah, yeah.
And who was responsible to...
My mother was the executioner. My mother, and she used to keep the down, you know, for the pillows. She'd take the down off of the goose and put it in the bag and keep it there, and then later in the year she'd make new pillows with the feathers. You know.
How did she kill it usually?
I don't know how she killed it now because I never looked.
Did she have to...
I think they have to... oh yes, she did. Yeah, took all the feathers off and then had to put it into the boiling water and take all the little fuzz off, you know. And, oh no, she singed it first over the fire. We had an open fire. And that was to burn off that little fuzzy feathers, you know, and then put it into the boiling water and everything came off. Yeah. It was a big project. Yeah.
What about Santa Claus?
Oh, Santa Claus came in my time. Little things. It was like an orange, an apple, a hanky, a little toy, some kind of a little toy that was not very good. We also, though, had 2 teachers in our school, and they had always had a Christmas tree for the kids. And they bought all the stuff for the Christmas tree, the 2 teachers. One was the principal, and then she was the assistant. And the 8th grade were the ones always got to set up the tree. See, the last day of school. And then whatever they'd have so many things, like they'd have something for everybody in the tree. But then they'd have some more extra things, and they'd put numbers into a box, like, and you picked it out, and so you'd get an extra thing maybe if you were lucky enough to pick the right number, you know. It was nice. I remember getting a doll.
Did you have stockings hung up? Is that what you did, or he just put something around
Just
the house?
put something around the house by the fireplace.
Do you have any, do you remember any of the old days, that perhaps any stories from the old days that maybe your mother and father told you, or do you have any particular memories that you can... How about some of the old medical remedies of the day?
Oh, yes.
Remember some of those?
Yeah. You know, if you had a cold, it was lemons and sugar, and I put them in a jar and pour the boiling water on the lemon and the sugar and let them sit by the fire, and that was the lemonade for the cold and the cough. And then if you had a pain in your back, they made up this, I think I bought this stuff, linseed oil, linseed meal, I think, or something they call it. And you could buy them in the drugstore, and then you had to put them on very hot onto the, to your back. It surely took the pain away. At least you didn't feel it with the heat of the, the poles.
Did you eat a lot of beef?
No.
Did you?
No, not much beef. No, mostly.
How about corned
I guess
beef?
we never eat corned beef. I'd never eaten corned beef till I came to this country.
Yeah.
It's not a traditional Irish.
No, it's not.
Lot
We
of
eat a lot of the bacon. Yeah. And the potatoes, yeah. But of course they tasted good, not like the ones here.
How about the Irish soda bread? Did your mom
Yeah,
bake that?
baked every day, yeah, she did. She made the whole wheat bread, baked that every day, and then she would make the raisin bread, you know, for Easter and Christmas and weekends and, you know, stuff like that. She also made the gingerbread, which was nice. That's very good.
Okay, when you were older, like teenager, did you go to dances?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we had dances in the town. And we had two, like one on Tuesday night and one on Sunday night. And they played like, you know, the Irish music for most of those dances. But everybody knew everybody, you know. And then they had a time in the summertime when they had, they used to call them the crossroad dances. And they'd be like the crossroads and there'd be space. And they used to put on you know, first they had made like a concrete square. And then they put this wood on it, wood, you know, and, you know, like planks of wood together, you know, smooth. And then they have all the dances there in the summertime, because the summertime in Ireland, you have daylight till 11 o'clock at night, you know, to be up till 11 o'clock. And everybody went there.
Did your parents go to those
Yeah,
as well?
they went there in their younger days, yeah. It started in their time, really. Then it was handed down. And there was always somebody, a musician, there was always somebody who could play an accordion, or a violin, or a flute, or whatever, you know. Actually, they didn't read music, but they could play it. A lot of, you know, they kind of, I guess, played by ear, more or less. But they had some great musicians. And then in the town, then they used to have they call it like the fish day. Then they have the Irish step dancers there, and they'd have all kinds of things going, like tug of war for the men, you know, and the high jump, whatever it is, I know what they call it here. They have one with the stick, like a jump right over. Yeah, I don't know what they call it.
Was that also a market day?
Yeah, there was a market. Yes, yeah. We had one in our town. March was the horse fair day, big day for the. It was like they came from all over Ireland for that day, and then they had it, you know, during in the daytime, like all the horse dealers came into the town to buy the horses, and they parade all these beautiful horses up and down through the town, you know, and then, you know, somebody'd buy in. That was it. But then that night they'd have a dance in the hall, and it was really nice, you know.
Do you remember much of the Gaelic spoken? Did you?
Not too much, you
learn
know.
Gaelic?
When I was going to school, we had it. We had a teacher who spoke it, and then we had like a half hour or an hour a day. But I didn't do too good in that, you know.
Your parents didn't?
My parents didn't speak it, see. I think it's mostly west of Ireland. Got our parts of Kerry, you know, that they still spoke it, you know, and then still do. But I can tell, like, some of them, when I hear some of the words, I know what they are, you know.
Did you go to work?
Yeah, I did, yeah. First job I worked for these two ladies. They were spinsters, and they had a store in the town, so I worked for them. And then after that, I worked in a doctor's house, took care of their children. And
Sort of a nanny?
yeah, and then I went from there. I went to Cork, and I worked for these people that had a jewellery place in Cork City, but they lived outside the city. So I took care of their children too. And then after that, I went to this other family in Cork City, and they were wonderful people, you know, really lovely people. So I worked there up to the time I married.
I guess Cork was the big city.
Yeah, it was then, yeah. It was nice, it was very nice. Of course I went to dances there too. We had a lot of, you know, the dances up in
Yeah, I was away from home, yeah. Then I got home in the summertime for 2 weeks. Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you had several beaux at that time, but
Yeah.
I'm wondering about one particular fellow.
Oh, yes. He showed up one night at the dance. Had never seen him there before, him and, and his friend. And I had a girlfriend. And we knew most of the people in the dance, the girls and the boys that went there. And in any case, they always, this was in Cork, and they always had a ladies' choice, every, one dance, towards the end. And in any case, they had this ladies' choice, and the two of us, and the two guys we were going to ask to dance, somebody else took them. And we were looking around, and we said, gee, we're not going to sit this one out. And we saw these two guys come in the door, and they were standing by the door, and one was a real tall guy, and the other guy was not so tall. And we're walking over, and I said to the other girl, Betty, I said, Betty, you take the tall one, and I'll take the short one. And that's how we met. That's how I met my husband.
His name?
And his name was Patrick Fitzgerald. And he had come from Ballyporeen, County Tipperary. And he was, at the time, had just come into Cork. And he had a sister married there, so he was staying with her at the time. And that's how we met.
Oh, so then you started to go out?
Yeah,
after that?
yeah, we started to go out. And then, of course, he was my dancer. He was a great dancer, of course. Yeah.
And did you bring him to meet your parents?
I did, yes. First, he brought me to meet his mother. I think we met in October. Then we went to his house in June. It was June. And I went there for the day. And then the following, I think Christmas time, then his mother asked me to come. So I was down there. I think I was down there for New Year. And then I brought him to my house in June, next year. Yeah.
And then...
Because he was real nervous, of course.
Who was home then?
Teresa was the only one home then. And then, of course, she left later that year and came out to this country.
And about how old were you then?
When we met, I was 24. And then we got married, I was 26. And he worked, he was worked in Cork, and then there was no more work there. So that he went up to the Midlands, near where my brother lived. And he worked on the turf cutting, there.
Was it before you were married or after you
That was before, yeah,
Before.
yeah.
I didn't get in your date of birth.
Date of birth was 14th of April 1921. And of course that was the time when Ireland was in real turmoil when I was born. That's when they were fighting for the independence in the south of Ireland. And there was a lot of terrible things happened there,
Do you remember, while we're on this, do you remember talk about the IRA and
Oh, yes, yeah.
or people in your area that
Yes.
might have been involved?
Oh, yes. I knew people that were involved. And my uncle belonged to that. Of course, it's not the same as it is today. That was a different thing. They were just fighting to get their own government in the south, and then the British Army sent in troops into the south, and they opened all the jails and left all the criminals into Ireland. So then they killed a lot of people. A lot of innocent people were killed. They'd go along and they'd be passing by. I had my father say they would buy this farmhouse, and the woman in the house, the lady in the house, he said, came out to call the farm. They were working on the farm to come to lunch, dinner. So dinner they call it there, midday. And she had a little girl in her arms, and another one holding by the hand, and they just passed by and turned the guns on her and killed them all. They did some awful things.
These are the English.
Yes, yeah.
And they didn't allow much of the Catholic. They didn't
Oh, no.
understand about the Catholic.
Oh, yeah, definitely did. Yeah, they didn't want that, so.
Okay. Now getting back to, so then you got married. Did you get married in
I was married in Cork. No, Cork St. Patrick's Church, Cork. Because Pat was in the Midlands, and then he came from there, and he went down and went to his parents' house and for a couple of days, and then he came back up, and we were married from there.
And where did you set up housekeeping then?
Then Edenderry, County Offaly. That's where he, that's where he worked. Yeah, I hadn't no idea what it was like even when I went up there, you know. Luke had lived in, he was still living in Westmeath at the time, but he wasn't married. And when I went up there to live, oh, I thought it was terrible. I thought the weather there was so much colder than the south of Ireland. And we stayed there for, I think, 6 months. Then we got a chance to go to England. And of course, all Pat's family were in England at that time. So we stayed with his sister for about 6 weeks, I think.
Is that what made you decide to go to England? Because he had relatives there?
Oh yes, he had relatives there, and the work wasn't as good in Ireland as it was in England at that time. England were rebuilding then, see. So he was able to paint and all this stuff, and there was better chance of a job, and you know.
When you were married at St. Patrick's, what date was that?
That was October 28th, 1947.
And did you think about going other places? The United States or
Yes,
Australia?
we had thought about it. We thought about it, you know, but then it wasn't, it was very hard to get out here at that time, you know.
To the States?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then my sister came home to visit. Oh yeah, that was later, much later than that.
Right, so you went
Yes,
to England.
yeah, I went to England, and
Did you have any children at that time?
no, and then Margie was born in England, and then we had Eileen, and Patrick, and Dennis.
When you went to England now, you lived with Pat's sister?
Pat's sister, yeah. She just passed away, Kathy. Yeah, and then we got an apartment. You know, apartments were so hard to get in, you know, because they were just starting to rebuild. Everything was blitzed out, you know.
From the war?
Yeah, after the war, and they also had rationing. You had to stand in line for everything at that time, and you had these books, and you went like with the coupons for the food, and you could only get so much of anything. Meat at that time was only 4 ounces each a week. Yeah, the food rationing was still on in England, and then the meat, we got 4 ounces for each person for a week. So that didn't amount to very much. But the only thing there was that they had fish was very good. You know, the fish was just, you went to the fish store in the morning and it was just brought in, and they had it nice, and they, you know, filleted and everything right there in front of you, and it was really fresh. That was the really good part about it. And they had lots of vegetables and fruit, and that they had quite a lot of, you know.
Now, you had 4 children?
4 children, yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you stay in one place when you were in England?
No, we lived in Wilson we lived in Kilburn when we went to stay with his sister, and then we went from there to Wilson. That was a very nice place. There was a huge park, you know. So I every afternoon I'd go to the park, bring the kids to the park, you know. And I met the other mothers with the children, and it was nice, you know. The kids played together, and it was a great, beautiful place. There's a lot of different things in there for the children. They had the deer, the animals, and the chickens, and there was a lake there, and you know, there was a lot of things going. And then, like in the weekend, when Pat would go, they had a bandstand in the evening, at night, on Sunday evening, and everybody would sit in the seats and listen to the bands playing. And then we moved from there to Myland, because we were getting an apartment on the first floor, and there was a yard. And that was very important then.
So you had 4 at this time?
Yeah, we had 4 at this time. So then they went to Stafford School there. And Martina and Patrick went to school. And then Dennis was about 3 then, and then we decided we were going to come out here. That was 1957. But Pat came out in September 1957, and I went back to Ireland, and the kids went back to school in my old school in Ireland for 6 months. And then we came out here in March of 58. We were here just for Easter. Week before Easter we arrived here. Came by plane. I was the first one in our family that came to this country by plane. All the others came by boat.
When you were in England, did you go home to see your parents?
Oh yes, went home in the summertime, took the kids, yeah. And then Pat's sister, she always went with me. She had 2 children.
And how did you get to Ireland?
By boat. There was a boat. There was a train. First there was a train. We had to take, like, at that time, the train took 8 hours to get to the boat. And the boat then was 10 hours to get into Cork. And then we had to do 2 hours from, Cork to either a bus or a train to Mill Street. And then somebody met me there.
So mostly summertime?
There was summertime, yeah. And then I usually stayed a month or maybe 6 weeks. Well, it depended. Then a few times then Pat came with me and stayed a couple of weeks and came back, and then other times he would come on the last 2 weeks, and then we'd come back together. It worked out all right. The kids had a great time. They loved it,
Now, in Ireland, is that where you decided to come to the United States? Why did you make that decision?
In England? Well, actually my sister, Nora, was the one that made the decision for me. She kind of, my cousin had come out earlier, about a year earlier, and then she was asking him, I guess, about how England was, and he was saying it wasn't that good and everything, and we had talked about it, my cousin and I and Pat, and we said, well, gee, John Ahern, and we said, if we ever got a chance to come out, we'd come. And then also Teresa had been home about 2 years before that, made a visit to Ireland. And then she was saying, would you think of coming out? And I said, gee, I don't know. And then she said, well, maybe wait a couple of years until the kids are a little older. Might be good, to come out then. So then my sister Nora had written to me and asked me if we'd like to come. And I get this letter like at Christmas time. And Pat gets home from work. I said, how would you like to go to New York? Fine, I'll go tomorrow, he said. So there was I didn't have to push him to go. Yeah. So he made up his mind, But it took from, we started out, I guess, in January or some, fill out forms for it and all the rest of it. By the time he got through the medical and all, then we went home to Ireland, and he left in September 14th, I think. And,
he came by plane?
He came by plane.
He came by plane.
Yes, he did, yeah.
And he was going to set up first?
Yeah, he got set up first, and he had an apartment, and had a job, and everything set up for us when we came, which was good.
Did you have any doubts about coming to the
I didn't, my sister said to me, looked at me and said, how can you do it? I said, how can you do what? How can you pick up and take 4 children out there? Doesn't bother me, I said. Peg. And Peg said, I could never do it, It's a big thing to pull up stakes and, out.
At this time, though, you had family here, Nora?
Oh, I had, yes. That was the whole thing. I had Nora and Teresa, Nell, my brother Dennis, my sister Mary. So I was coming to half of my family, really. So that made a big difference. And then Pat had a sister in Boston whom he had never seen since he was a little kid. And then he had seen her once, that's right. she'd made a trip. But she made 2 trips. I think she made 2 trips before he came out here. But he hadn't seen her like for some years on her first trip. And then when he came here, he went to Boston to visit her for the first Christmas. He was here. He spent it in Boston. So then he got kind of close with her, you know, and eventually got settled. It's hard, though. When you come first, it is hard to settle in. That goes for any country, I think. You know, when you get there, like you know, because then you have, especially when you have children, because then you have to go and get them settled in school and everything. But the great thing about it is that the kids fitted in right away. The very first day, they were out there playing with all the other kids, as if they'd never moved from anywhere, you know.
And where did you come to? Would you remember your address?
Avenue P, 421 Avenue P, Brooklyn. Yeah, made a big yard for them to play in, which was good, because they were used to the open spaces then, you know. So it would have been hard if they had to go in an apartment and have no place outside, you know, to play.
Did you like it when you first came here? Did you feel you wanted to go back?
Well, I was very more unsettled than anybody when I got, you know, for the first 6 months. I was just saying, well, really, maybe I shouldn't have done it, you know, this type of thing. But then I saw where the kids were quite happy with it, and it didn't bother them, nothing, you know, and they didn't mind the changing schools or anything. And everybody was telling me that that would be hard for them to come from a school in England into a school here, you know. But they settled in right away, because I think with kids are better at settling in than the grown-ups, you know.
Did you find big differences
Oh, yeah.
raising children here?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah, big difference, yeah.
Why?
Well,
Kids have more freedom here or something?
I guess they had, really. You know, when we were in England, I never allowed the kids to play on the street, play, you know, in front of our house, unless I was there. You know, because there was like a fear then. That was like after, you know, it was after the war. There was a lot of people that were kind of warped, you know, after the bombings and everything. So nobody ever did leave their children unattended in the street there for that reason. And when they went to school, I walked them to school. When they came out of school, I was waiting outside school to take them home, you know. So I think that had something to do with that. But then I found here the kids could go out and play, and, you know, there was no thing about them being afraid of anything. Yeah.
I just want to take you back for a minute to Ireland and when you were growing up. Did you have electricity in the house? And
no, not
plumbing?
No, nothing them days. We had the oil lamps. Matter of fact, the electricity did come into the town when I was about 7 years old. That was the first electricity. The town had it. Then they didn't get I was in my 20s, I'd say, before they got to and the electric in the houses.
What about the indoor plumbing? Did you have inside plumbing?
No, we didn't have any indoor plumbing for years. Yeah.
And telephone?
No, still don't have a telephone. Other people have telephones around us, you know. That took quite a long time to come. Telephones did. Telephones are only in within the last, I guess, 4 years or 5 years.
And still several people don't
Yeah,
have
they
them.
don't have them.
And your house, what was your house like? I know you said you had the open hearth.
Yeah, we had the open fire when I was growing up, and this kettle, you know, I hung it over the fire to boil for the tea, and my mother baked bread. She baked it in an iron pot type of thing, and it seems she never burned anything. That's what I could understand. She was able to judge how much of the fire should go under it and how much of the fire should go over it. She baked the bread and did a great job.
You
Yeah.
could always handle the hot pots with
Yes,
the oven mitts.
that's right. Yeah, isn't it something? The thing there, I think the most important thing in that time was that anything that you did eat there had no chemical in it when we were growing up. There weren't no chemicals. You know, the vegetable or anything like that, and the meat or anything. They never had any kind of chemical in them. So I think probably that was good. You know, because I go back now, and I can't get that same taste at all from the butter or the meat or anything that I had when I was growing up there. But now I know that they have, you know, there's chemical service in Ireland now too. See, my brother always tells me, even last year when I was in Ireland, he said, you know, it is the rabbits only even eat the grass in the fields because of the chemical. They'll eat the grass at the side of the road where there is no chemical.
Now we spoke about your parents. What about your grandparents on your father's side?
On my father's side, the grandfather was Luke Hickey, and the grandmother was Mary Doody. Yeah, and then in my mother's side, her mother's name was Kate Ryan. The father was Daniel O'Keefe.
You know anybody?
Other relatives?
Anybody beyond that? Any of your great grandparents? Can you remember anybody's names further than that?
No, the only thing is that we were looking on the headstone, the great grandfather's headstone. His name was Dennis Hickey, and I think his wife, her name was Elizabeth. And we had Elizabeth in our family. We were wondering where it came from. That's probably where it came from, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, you have Looney. Who's Looney?
That's Peg's. Peg's, my sister's.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Who she married.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how about for you brothers and sisters then? Who married and the names of the people that they married? Did you know?
Yeah. Well, here, Mary married Jim Ryan. They had no family. Kathy. Oh yes. No, Nora's next. Nora married Frank Doherty, and she has 3 children. Had 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. Kathy died when she was 33 years old. She was next when she died out here. And Dennis, my old, yeah, he was the oldest. Yeah, Dennis was the oldest. Dennis was married and had 3 daughters.
What was his wife's name?
His wife's name was Marcella Henley.
Okay.
And her parents were from Ireland. And her parents, I think, died. Her mother died when she was born.
How about Hannah?
Oh, Hannah, yeah. She was married to Peter Looney. And Peg and Hen were married to 2 brothers. Yeah, the Looneys, yeah. Then Dennis Looney was Peg's husband, and Peter Looney was Hen's. And
did she have any children?
She did. They both had 3 girls and a boy.
Okay. Who else? Nell?
Nell was married to Michael Wickham.
What's her name? Her real name?
Ellen, my mother's name, yeah.
And Teresa?
Teresa then was married to Mike Doherty. They got 6 children. 3 boys and 3 girls. Oh, Luke is married to Rita. Can't think of Rita's second name. But they have no family.
Jack?
Jack never married.
Is that his true name?
John, actually.
His name is John?
His name is John, yeah. See, Luke was the only one that had a second name. Luke was Luke Joseph. And he was born in St. Joseph's there. So I think that's where the names came in mostly.
Okay, now we're going to go back to America, and after you lived on Avenue P, then where did you head on to after that?
We moved after Avenue P. We moved to Northland Avenue, but we only stayed there 8 months. And then we moved to 60th Street, Brooklyn. And I think we were in that house 9 years. And then we came up here in 74.
Okay. Now you had 4 children in England,
Yeah,
and you had 4 children
in the United States.
Did you find big differences between
Big differences, yeah.
having children
I have.
in England and...
Well, the strange thing about that was now what England was. They had national health system at that time, which was excellent. And when I came out here, I was comparing, I said, I got more attention there than I did from a private doctor here at that time. That they had, you know, the hospital were spick and span and so particular, and, you know, and I remember when Eileen was born, they said they thought she was having a problem with her nose, and they called in a nose specialist right away to look at her, and came in and reassured me not to worry, everything was going to be fine. And as soon as he came and looked at her and said there was nothing wrong, they came and told me right away. You know, they were very kind and very considerate, and, you know, very particular about everything. At that time, of course, it's changed now too.
Then the names of all your children, well, you told us 4 from England.
Yeah.
And then the next 4 were?
Christopher, John, Anne Marie, and Maureen.
Now, you also had a sister that was a nun.
Yeah, Sister Declan. Yeah.
And she was named in the order originally.
Yes.
And her real name was?
Sheila. Yeah. So she was 2 years older than I am. But, she left Ireland for England when she was 17 and entered the Sisters of the Holy Family in Rockferry, England. And then she was there for 3 years for the novitiate, for 3 years. And then she was sent to Eastbourne, which was a beautiful place in England. And they had a private nursing home there. You know, now not elderly nursing home now, but for people that wanted, that were sick, and they did operations and everything there. That's a beautiful place. So she spent most of her life there. And then I think about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, she had left Eastbourne for 1 year and came to Kilburn in England. And she stayed in their convent there for a year. Then she went back to Eastbourne. And then last year, they sold that. The doctors bought it. And then she was sent to Ireland. So now she's in Dublin, Ireland.
Okay, now you came up to Newburgh, and you're here in Newburgh how long?
Oh, I'll be 14 years in August.
And we're going to go through your children. The oldest is Margie.
Yeah.
Is that her?
Margaret. Margaret Mary.
And she's married to?
Kevin Allen. And they have 5 boys. And Kevin, Sean, Colin, Timmy, and Patrick.
Okay, and then the next would be, okay, after Margie?
Eileen.
And then after Eileen?
After Eileen came Patrick. So Patrick is married to Nora O'Hara. And they have 2 boys, Patrick Michael and Brian Ulysses.
And then next would be?
Dennis. And Dennis, of course, is married to Bernadette O'Hara. And they're awaiting the baby. Dennis. Christopher. Christopher is unmarried. So I hope he'll meet somebody soon. I'm getting tired of Arnie. He'll kill me for that.
Okay, and then we have
John. John is married to Grace. Grace Riser. And he'll soon be moving this way. And John. Henry. Henry is footloose and happy yet. And then Maureen, our baby. And she's going to be getting married in September this year.
who will she be
To
married?
Gary Millett.
And you just had your 40th anniversary.
Yes.
You celebrated.
Yes.
Have any little recollections or any words of wisdom?
All was wisdom. Oh, well, hang in there.
Anything else you'd like to add to that?
Well, you know, life wasn't so bad after all. We had our ups and our downs, but
Today, it's April 5th, 1988.